Hi, Tara Salee, Hy-Vee dietitian, here today to talk to you about fueling your fitness. So today we're going to be covering ways to fuel your fitness in the healthiest way possible. With summer right around the corner, a lot of us, will be outside more, potentially being a little bit more active. So we're going to talk about, first of all, some of my top picks for bars. These are bars that are going to be convenient options that you can just buy off the shelf and have ready to go. We're going to talk through how to make your own bar. Then we'll go through ways to stay hydrated and how to make a healthy popsicle that will also be a great option for hydration in the summertime. So to start off with, some of my top bar picks, it can be really overwhelming when you're looking at the shelf and there's a zillion different bars and where to even start with what's going to be the best option for you, what the healthiest bar would be. So I'm going to kind of narrow the scope a little bit for you. So when you're looking at bars, the very first thing I would suggest you do is check out that ingredient label. If the ingredients are words that you can't pronounce or there is a ton of different ingredients on there, that's your first red flag. Secondly, is sugar in the top 1, 2, 3 ingredients? If it says sugar, high fructose corn syrup, any sort of like sugary, what else would there be? My mind is just drawing a blank right now, but maybe maple syrup, honey. These are the types of things that should, again, make a red flag go up, because that means that there is a lot of sugar in that product. And what we don't want to do is pick a bar off the shelf that would essentially be kind of like choosing a candy bar. We want our bar to have more nutrition for us than a simple candy bar would. So I have 5 bars here today that I really like. So the first one I'll show you guys is the Go Macro bar. This bar is a good option if, for one, you're looking for a good source of plant-based protein. So this uses a plant-based protein. You're still getting within this bar 11 grams of protein. This is a gluten-free vegan option as well. It is very filling, I will say. So it's one that, you could maybe like build into a meal even, but kind of like a chewy bar. So lots of good flavors here. But there is your vegan plant-based protein option. My second bar choice, I've showed you guys before, but is our RX bar. The RX bar I really, really like. One of the main reasons I like this is because the ingredient list is so very short. So you're not getting a ton of filler ingredients in it. You can see the ingredients right here on the front. The second thing I like about this bar is that it uses egg whites as the protein source. So that is something that you always want to look for in your bars, is that you have some sort of protein source. The reason for that is protein is what is going to sustain you until your next meal. So if there's no protein in your bar and you see sugar at the top, it's basically like a candy bar. It is just a filler. It's not going to stick with you. Lots of good options, especially if you like a chewy bar. These are very, very chewy. They also make a kids line of RX bars, which I actually really like because the portion is just a little bit smaller. And I find that one really nice to kind of put with a fruit as a quick snack and also incorporate that fruit or vegetable there. All right, so bar number 3, the Kind protein bar. So this Kind brand is pretty popular. I think a lot of people have heard of this one. The one I really like though is that the protein, again, because we want to get that extra protein in there. Now, half of the protein in this bar, there's 12 grams of protein total per bar here, but half of that protein is coming from the nuts and seeds that they put into their bar. So you're also getting in there with that protein from the nuts a source of heart healthy fats. So that's kind of a double whammy. So that also has some good heart health benefits. Several good options to choose from with those Kind bars as well. Okay, so now I have the Quest Hero bar. So if you are someone that has a sweet tooth, then this would be the bar for you. So in this bar here, we have 16 grams of protein, 1 gram of sugar. There is artificial sweetener in this bar, and I will tell you, this one absolutely does taste like a candy bar. So if you are someone who is like really liking your midday sweet, this would be a much healthier option than something like a candy bar would be. Several good options there as well in terms of flavor. We also have a bar called Alani New. So this is kind of a newer line that we have. But you're getting 16 grams of protein in the Alani Nu. There's also some really fun flavors here. This is another one if you're kind of like a sweet tooth type of person. This would be another one to maybe investigate a little bit further. There's 5 grams of fiber in each of these bars, and some of the flavors are things like confetti cake and blueberry muffins, some really fun flavors like that. So hopefully you saw a bar that maybe would work for you or your lifestyle out of those options. If not, you could always try making your own, which is what we're going to do now. So we're gonna switch gears a little bit. I'm gonna scooch these out of the way. And now we will make our own bar recipe. So for the recipe that I will be following, it is completely customizable, which is one thing I really love about it. So what I'm making here for you today may look very different than what you decide to make at your house, because within each category that we're going to be adding, there's a lot of different options. A lot of times when I make this, we'll switch it up too. So, for example, one category within this recipe is nuts and chips. And so half my family likes chocolate chips and half of them don't. So sometimes we add those and sometimes we don't. So you can kind of make it tailored to what you like. So to start with, I have already added the very first ingredient, which is our nut butter. So you can add almond butter, cashew butter, sunflower seed butter, tahini, or just a traditional peanut butter. What I would really suggest though is to get one that is no stir. And you're gonna see that in here. I use the no stir Smuckers, and it's more liquidy. It has more of it's not been processed. It doesn't have that additional oil in there. So it's a little bit thinner and it blends better for this recipe. Okay, so we did 1 cup of the peanut butter in there. Next, we're gonna add our grain. So we have a couple options with our grain. You could do like a puffed brown rice cereal. So I have the crispy rice here. They also make like a cocoa crispy rice, and you could do that one as well. You need 2 cups total of grain. And so I like to kind of like blend mine. Instead of just doing all of the crispy rice cereal, I'm gonna do 1 cup of the crispy rice, and my second grain is gonna be the Quaker oats. You can do like a quick oat, you can do a rolled oat. So we'll do 1 cup of that into the bowl as well. Okay, so now we have our nut butter and we've added our grain. So third up, we are going to add our protein powder. So for this one, I am going to use the Vega protein powder. This is a plant-based protein powder. This one actually has greens in it as well. So it's kind of like has a green blend powder. This is sweetened with stevia. So the flavor on there is also pretty good. And we actually need a whole cup of this. I have to pour this one here. So you could also use a chocolate protein powder if you wanted to make kind of like a chocolate granola bar. I'm making a bit of a mess here. Okay. That was a bit messy. We will add that as well. Alrighty. Next up, we're going to add our nuts and chips. So this is again one that you could add chocolate chips here. I am going to use in place of that a blend of flax and hemp hearts. So flax and hemp has a couple really great benefits to it. Both of these provide a source of fiber. So fiber, again, remember, it's very filling. It's an indigestible carbohydrate that really fills you up. So the more fiber you have at your meals or within your food, the fuller you're gonna be, the more satisfied you're gonna be. Second, both of these have, and we are adding, how much are we adding of this? I don't wanna do it wrong here. A 1/4 cup, so yes, 1/4 cup here. They have plant-based omega-3s, which are extremely heart healthy. So what we know about fat is it's not always about the amount you eat, but what type of fat you eat. We want to have more of those healthy omega-3s, plant-based, heart healthy oils in our diet, and that's gonna help you do that by using the hemp hearts and flaxseed. This is also something that you could actually blend into your smoothies. So hemp hearts, these are great. Have kind of like a slight nutty flavor that is associated with those. All right, so next we're gonna do our seeds here. You could use slivered almonds, you could use sunflower seeds, you could use walnuts, you know, you could really use whatever you want here, but we're gonna use a 1/4 cup. Then we're going to use our sweetener, which I opted for honey. You could use maple syrup. You could even use coconut water if you were wanting to really minimize the sweet. So if you didn't want to have any true sweetener in there, you could use coconut water. We need 3/4 cup of this. All right. Almost there here. There we go. I think honey holds this recipe together really well. When I've used maple syrup, it's been a little bit stickier. We get all that honey out of there, at least as much as you can. Okay. All right. Next up, we have our superfood powder. So for this one, I have the acai powder. So this is just loaded with antioxidants. We only need a tablespoon of this. Some other options would be goji berry powder. You could do like a green superfood powder. You can see how dark that is. It's basically, this is another one of those that you could put into a smoothie for an extra burst of vitamins and minerals. So there we have that. We've added our honey. Last but not least, we have our dried fruit. So I have dried tart cherries, which are also loaded in antioxidants. You could do dried mango or raisins, cranberries, things like that as well. And we'll use a whole cup of these. Dried blueberries would work really well. And again, any of these things that you just are thinking, gosh, you know, I don't really want to have dried fruit in my bars, then you could just leave it out altogether. All right. So that is all the ingredients. And again, within each of those categories, you can kind of play with what you would want to do first, you know, for each of those things to kind of customize this bar to your liking. From there, we need to mix this. So I have found you could do one of two things. So you could absolutely get out your hand mixer and actually mix this with beaters really, really well. I have also found, you know, if you just, you know, wash your hands really good and just mix it with your hands, it almost works better because it can kind of like stick to the beaters just a little bit. Either way though, you wanted to just give it a really good mix. From there, you need an 8x8 pan and some parchment paper. So you want to put the parchment paper into the bottom of your dish, and then once that's mixed, you're basically going to dump it in here and then take the sides and press it all down really, really tight at the bottom. You want it smooshed down as much as you can, as even as you can. Stick it in the refrigerator until it's kind of set up a little bit and firm, and then you could just cut it into bars and you're ready to go. I like to store it in the refrigerator as well and just take out what maybe you're going to eat that day. So it's as easy as that. The other thing I love about this is when you're making it yourself, you know that there's none of those fillers. So we were talking about some of those filler ingredients, the things we don't really want in our bars that they just stick in there sometimes, but you are in complete control of making bars when you do it yourself. Everything that goes into there, you will know what's in it and what you will have in your bar, what you want in there. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that mixed and get that pressed into our pan for us. And then we will talk about hydration and how to stay hydrated through the summer months. All right, now we are going to dive into hydration. So equally important as we're talking about fitness is staying hydrated. And to be honest, that is something that my patients in general struggle with a lot. Most of my patients and clients are chronically not drinking enough water throughout the day. So if that's you, this is something that hopefully you can work on that will make a big difference pretty much immediately. So first of all, something to think about. When we're talking about staying hydrated, the easiest rule of thumb to do is to divide your body weight in half, and that's about how much fluid you should be drinking. Again, this is a rule of thumb. So for a 150-pound person, they should be drinking about 75 ounces of water per day. just as kind of like a guideline to go by. So when we're talking about hydration, it doesn't always have to be water, water, water. There's a lot of other ways to get nourishing hydration in our body. You know, in the dairy department, things like milk, you know, milk is 90% water. So, and milk also has other vitamins and minerals in it that make it healthy for us as well. And a really great refueling beverage, especially after a workout that was like strength training. So milk is a good option. Yogurt also is very hydrating. So there are some other types of things, you know, in the produce department, you know, think watermelon, melons, fruits, all of these also are naturally hydrating. They have water in them. They also have vitamins and minerals in them. So these are all good options for you. When we are exercising, we do lose electrolytes. We lose potassium, we lose magnesium. So a question I typically get is, you know, do I need like an energy drink? Do I need to be drinking something like Gatorade or Powerade, you know, when I'm doing my activity? And I like to go by the 3H rule. So for that, drink potentially when it's really hot outside. When it's really hot and you're exercising, maybe in the heat of summer, in the heat of the day, we sweat a lot more. We lose more electrolytes, so those need to be replenished. Secondly, is it hard? How intense is your workout? So if you're going on an evening stroll, that's going to look a little bit different than someone who is, you know, sprinting, doing sprints for 45 minutes. So how intense is your exercise that you're doing? If it's hard, then potentially you might need some sort of replenishing beverage. And then thirdly, the third H is it an hour? So that is that time, that point of reference for time. Sorry, I'm checking my blueberries back there, which we're going to use in a minute. That third point of reference is our, is it an hour or greater? If you're exercising for longer than an hour, chances are that you have lost some electrolytes. And so those would be indicators that maybe a sports drink would be a good idea. Otherwise though, I would just say hydrate with water. You can use some water enhancers if, you know, you have trouble drinking water, just to make it taste a little bit different. I really like the True Lemon. I also like the pink lemonade version. There's little water droplets. There's also a stir product that you could actually just squeeze these into your water bottle. And the Hint is also a good option just to give you a little bit of flavor to your water. This is actually infused with, this one is watermelon flavored. They have a lot of different flavors, so that could be an option for you as well. If you're someone who struggles with drinking water, this would be something that you should absolutely start working on. So the first tip I would give you is to drink water before your feet hit the ground in the morning. So before you even get out of bed, have a bottle of water or a glass of water sitting right next to your bedside, and try to drink that before you even get going, or at least while you're kind of going through your morning routine, before the coffee, before the tea, things like that. We wake up, we've lost 1 liter of water throughout the night, so we need to replenish, because what happens is if we don't, a lot of times we misconstrue feelings of hunger or of thirst as hunger. So we're snacking rather than hydrating. So set reminders on your phone, you know, set little reminders 3 times during the day. At lunchtime, have you had half of your daily water yet? If the answer is no, what could you do differently? You know, maybe mid-morning you drink some water. We don't want to wait until the end of the day to try to drink all of our water. It can keep us up at night, and also we need that energy, that water, that hydration for the day and for the day events that we have going. So, all right, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to make some icy yogurt pops. This is another way to hydrate in the summer months. It's also a little bit refreshing on a hot day. So what you're going to need for this, you're going to need honey, you're going to need yogurt, you're going to need some sugar, and some fruit. So I got some blueberries, and I have these in my pan right now. So basically you just want to warm these on low with 2 tablespoons of sugar, and I use the Truvia blend for that until they start to release their juices. And once they have, which these are, they are ready to go. Now, if you don't have popsicle molds, which I'm not using today, that is absolutely fine. You can just use an ice cube tray like this, or you can really use anything that you could simply get your popsicle out of. To that, we are going to add our yogurt. This is actually You could use whatever flavor you like. I got the raspberry lemonade yogurt because I thought it would be yummy in here, but you could use, you know, blueberry yogurt as well if you wanted. Do one more of those. And then we will use honey as our sweetener. Kind of have to make these in 2 stages. So this is the first step. So we are going to add our honey, which I'm going to actually use a little less than the recipe calls for because the yogurt is sweetened. Okay. All right, so once we have our honey in there, we're gonna give this a good stir. So basically our hydration in here, we have the juice from our berries. We also have the yogurt that are all hydrating. The other nice thing is we're replacing some of those electrolytes because remember that dairy products have our potassium and magnesium, which are a couple of electrolytes that we're lose during activity. Okay, so once we have that mixed, this is basically the base of our popsicle. So we are going to pour it into our molds here. I got that one a little full. You want to leave a little room depending on the size of your mold because we're going to be adding to this. Just a couple more here. Now, what I'm going to do is I will just stick like a popsicle stick right into these after they set up just a little bit, and then that will be that. Now, what you want to do is you want to put these into the freezer for about 2 hours. They need to set up just a little bit, and while they are setting up, that's when you're going to mix up some of your lemonade because that is the last thing you'll need to do. So after 2 hours they sit in the freezer, you pull them back out and do 2 tablespoons of lemonade into each of your popsicles. It adds a ton of flavor, and then you stick them back in for 6 to 8 hours. They need to get really, really frozen. And then they're ready to go. So after your workout, after you've spent a lot of time outdoors or you're just needing to rehydrate, this is a great option for you because you'll be replacing fluid and you're gonna be replacing those electrolytes. So thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you picked up some new ideas and some new things that you could do to fuel your lifestyle. As always, Hy-Vee dietitians are here to make your lives easier, healthier, and happier. Have a great day.